A large male Sasquatch steps out into the clearing, a snowy meadow, the base of the Rockies. It was late spring. He had a newborn at home. His mate and his other clan members were held up in a cave. They always used this spot in winter. He ventured out alone, being 9 foot tall and 850 pounds, and middle-aged for a Sasquatch. He knew nothing was going to mess with him. He knew that he was the biggest, baddest thing around. Normally he wouldn't go out hunting on his own. He'd have one of his brothers go with him. But being cold, and also knowing that it was birthing season for the deer and the elk that were by calving, he knew that maybe he could pick an easy meal, go back to the cave, and settle in. They brought plenty of brush and leaf debris to keep themselves warm, him and his clan, and he was feeling pretty good, so he was out on a lone hunt. He had picked up a rock from down by the river because he knew deep in the woods it was harder to find appropriate-sized rocks. This rock was the equivalent of a basketball. He could carry it in his hand like a normal person would carry a baseball. This rock probably weighed 35 pounds. It was a good size for him. Anyway, as he slowly approached the clearing, there was snow on the ground. He was looking for tracks, sniffing the air, careful not to leave any tracks of his own. He was out, and then he caught the scent of something. He wasn't sure what it was. He thinks, yes, he verifies, he sniffs again. He catches some movement on the other end of the clearing a couple hundred yards away, his eyesight being that greater than a man, greater than any of the prey around. He catches movement. He steps back from behind a tree, takes another look, and steps behind a tree again. On the other side of the clearing, a lone dog man steps out. He too knows something's in the brush. He puts his snout in the air and sniffs it. This lone dog man was about as big as dog men come. 8 foot tall, 650 pounds, 3-inch fangs. He had scars all over his body from previous fights. He had a scar on his left leg and on his right shoulder and on his neck that were still dripping blood from a fight the night before. The night before, his younger brother and packmate had overthrew him. He was the alpha. He was the largest of his group. Now outcast, licking his wounds, walking with a slight limp. Hungry, haven't eaten for days in the snow. He was desperate, and he wasn't going to take anything from anybody or anything else out there. Normally he would be with his pack. Now he's alone and dangerous. As these two enter the clearing, they spot each other. The Bigfoot realizes that he's still got blood on him from his newborn. The dogman sniffs the air and realizes he smells Bigfoot blood, and he smells the blood of multiple Bigfoots. He knows that they've given birth, and he knows that this one's alone. He can only spot the one. The dogman slowly works its way through the trees while the Bigfoot slowly circles around the dogman, eventually closing to the narrowest part of the meadow, where just 25 yards of snow separates them. The Bigfoot approaches and lets out a mighty roar, deep, bellowing, earth-shaking, heard from miles away. The forest goes silent. The dogman lets out a blood-curdling howl, deep, lonely, desperate-sounding. The dogman approaches the meadow. The Sasquatch approaches the meadow, rock in hand, ready for action. He knows it's going to happen. The dogman, desperate, leaps as fast as he can and as hard as he can, all of his weight at the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch turns, having sidestepped the dogman, and the dogman hits the ground and turns again, pounces up at the Bigfoot just as the Bigfoot smashes the dogman's head with a rock. He lets out a yelp. This rock grazed the side of the dogman's head, taking one of its ears off. Just then, the Bigfoot grabs the dogman by its open jaws, right as it's pouncing up, ready to grab his neck and tear his jugular open. The Bigfoot grabs his jaws, teeth biting into his fingers, drawing blood, lets out a mighty roar, and pulls the jaw apart of this dogman. Pulls it and eviscerates it, and throws it down in the snow. Breathing heavy, blood coming out of his fingers, blood everywhere. The Bigfoot slowly backs into the forest, making sure no other clan members come by. making sure none of the dogmen pack follows up.
So I was trying to come up with a scenario that these two creatures could meet each other. If you've been studying this subject for a while, Bigfoot, and then it kind of leads you into what's this dogman creature, you realize that their territories overlap. And if you go down in the south and other parts of the country, especially the Choctaw and the Chickasaw tribes and many others have stories of these creatures interacting. So when someone says, oh, do you think who would win in a fight, Bigfoot or Dogman? It's like everything else. There's nuance. It's a complicated question. And it seems like today in the internet world and everything's a fast answer. There is no fast answer like with most issues because mainly Bigfoot travels in clans, 5, 6, 10 individuals, family groups. Dogmen tend to travel in packs, even bigger. I've heard reports of 20 or 30 dogmen, or they break off into chunks and then they reform big super packs, just like a canine would. So for me, trying to get these two individuals alone in a scenario is what I was trying to come up with there. And I know these species probably have a lot of interaction, and I know that they probably avoid each other, just like the way grizzly bears and black bears avoid each other, or black bears and mountain lions, or coyotes and bobcats, or foxes do and bobcats, anything that's a similar sized competitor but built differently. So the other thing to also consider is there's different types. I know a lot about the different types of Bigfoot. If you've been following this channel, we've done a lot of different scenarios and different aspects of the different types of Bigfoot. I think if you had a big nasty Gugwe or a Wendigo versus a Dogman, it would probably be no contest versus teeth and claws, but those seem to be a little bit more rare. So I just kind of went with the big generic patty type Bigfoot, the classic, the ones that get, really huge, but they're omnivore, seem to be the smartest ones that show a little bit more tool use and a little more cunning. I think if you had a nasty Gugwe that seems to be on its own somewhere, encounters a couple dogmen and it's huge, it could probably kill them and eat them. Versus, I don't know if the Bigfoots would be that interested in actually eating a dogman, a normal patty type. I would think they would view them more as competitors. And I also know there's different types of dogmen. Now, I haven't really covered it, and I don't know that much about it. I would have to do different research. But I know there's smaller dogmen that basically look like large wolves and occasionally will take a few steps on their hind legs. And I know there's ones that are more like a bear, and I know there's ones that look like your classic werewolf, and then there's ones that look like a giant German Shepherd, and there's ones that have more of a bigger, broader head, I just know that there's different types. So trying to break it down, I think if you take your classic patty and the biggest, baddest dogman type, the ones that look like a big werewolf, the ones that get 8-9 feet with the slender waist and the big shoulders. So my prediction is if you take a full-grown male alpha Bigfoot and put it against a full-grown alpha dogman, I think 7 out of 10 times the Bigfoot's going to win. Now, that's just my assumption. Someone's probably going to be like, no way, or you're wrong, but that's just what I think. I think if it's a one-on-one scenario, the Bigfoots are just too big, too strong, too overpowering, no matter how many claws and teeth the dogmen have. Not to say that the dogman couldn't get to drop occasionally, get him by the neck, get him by the arm, ambush type hunting. But I think the Bigfoot would just pick up rocks and clubs, and when it came down to sheer strength, kind of why I depicted it like the old King Kong thing of tearing the jaw apart. I just think no matter how big and strong a dogman and ferocious they are, we're just talking superhuman. We're talking like the Incredible Hulk type strength out of some of these giant Bigfoots that are out there. Anyway, so that's my take about it. Please let me know in a comment if you like these kind of scenarios and stories. I just kind of came up with it off the top of my head. I can do more videos like this, more versus videos. If you didn't like this and you want me to do regular Bigfoot theory or more field work, let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe.